the USL Championship game of the week. Diego Restrepo stretching out. He's got a big challenge in front of him tonight at Bold Stadium. One of 7 expansion teams will face its toughest test yet. Phoenix Rising, the reigning Western Conference champions, undefeated to start 2019. Hello, folks, with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Glad to have you aboard for this one. In Phoenix, we talk about being undefeated, Devin, but 4 straight draws. I think there's a little bit of concern among the Phoenix fan base that maybe this team isn't what they were last year.
You know who didn't share those concerns? Their head coach, Rick Schantz. He stuck to his game plan. He said that we were trying to evolve and do different things than 2018. It was hard to find that out early on, but now you are seeing the fruits of their labor. Phenomenal performance versus El Paso Locomotive and Mark Lowry's boys. They will look to continue tonight against a very defensively solid unit.
You look at Austin's defense, that's the one shining thing for them right now because they aren't completing passes at a high rate, they aren't scoring at a high rate, they're doing enough defensively.
Nothing massive from a structural standpoint, and it's not groundbreaking tactics. They're looking for build-up play from Isaac Promise. They don't get it. Notice the disarray of the back line. They've got 5 sitting. The left back is marked up, but there's a load of space for Christian Pirano to explore. Notice, within 3 seconds, they've all made their way back. Now they've got a solid 7. The outside back is marked up. It only allows Pirano to put a hopeful ball in the corner or down in the channel. They push him out. Once again, the back line, everybody structurally sound. They win a tackle. They then win a free kick and go the other direction. Great job with a 1-0 victory in the 85th minute.
Well, Diego Restrepo is the man behind all that, and he is a former USL Championship Goalkeeper of the Year.
Was excellent for Darren Powell in San Antonio FC. And how do they get him going on a regular basis? How do they find a way to give him an opportunity to make plays for his team, but not necessarily every single play? Great defensive unit, great goalkeeper, but you don't want to have to rely on just that. They need to find a way to reprieve him of some of his duties and help him out on the offensive side of things.
Speaking of a reprieve, Carl Wazinski struggling at times, so Zach Lubin gets a chance. He's made the best of it.
Organization said that he trained well. Carl Wazinski wasn't necessarily making the best decisions, but that's why you have 2 great goalkeepers. These guys are good friends. They like the competition. Excellent camaraderie. It doesn't hurt, by the way, that Zach Lubin has no problem going against the best. He's shown us the past 2 games, looking to make it 3 straight.
A lot of rotation for the Rising and Bold. Lubin and Restrepo will be key tonight. A win, and all of a sudden Phoenix is in 5th. You can forget about all those concerns. Austin, their first of 3 straight at home. The matchup comes your way next. Austin Samba feeling it pregame as Austin prepares for home game number 2, game 1 of a 3-game homestand at Bold Stadium with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Let's take a look at the starting 11 that Marcelo Serrano sends out. The 39-year-old is also the manager of the U.S. Virgin Islands. This is a lineup that sees significant changes across the board, including the return of Sion McFarland.
That's the biggest news, is McFarland's back in the lineup, and also holding midfielder number 6, Callum Mallis. He'll probably sit deep in a diamond with Guadarrama running the 10 spot. But how do they get the two big boys up top, Andre Lima and Isaac Promise, involved? Remember, no Kleber, no number 9, the only guy who's scored for the organization. They've got quite a few guys from Phoenix Rising who have scored, though. A number of changes for Rick Schantz, though. Lamar Batista, loanee from LAFC, sitting at left back, as well as right back Tristan Blackman. Take a look at number 6, Javi Perez. He will be the general in the middle of the field. Aguinaga had a nice match versus El Paso. Can he follow it up versus the likes of Austin Bold? Because Jason Johnson, Asante, and Spencer will be looking for distribution.
Rick Schantz in his first year as the guy. He's been the interim coach at stages over the last 2 seasons, including leading the side through the Western Conference playoffs and into the USL Cup final. It is the reigning Western Conference champion, Phoenix, in primarily white kits against Austin Bold at home in the USL Championship game of the week. Well, it was a sellout for the opener. Still making their way out here to Circuit of the Americas. That's dangerous from Lubin, and he puts it out. Guadarrama to throw, came in from San Antonio FC.
Immediately seeing a bit of press from the home squad. Not sure if that's going to continue from the whole game. That was a question Rick Schantz had. What was his defensive unit trying to build out of the back going to see? That's something they didn't necessarily do a lot in 2018. Phoenix Rising looking to switch it up, show their opponents a different look.
Lima Tierpak. And recovered by Solomon Asante. When you talk to Rick Schantz this week, it's clear he doesn't know what Austin's going to do. They've used 4 formations in 4 games and very, very pressing techniques. Attack is on here, and it'll fly out off the block. Guadarrama sent the cross. He'll take the ensuing corner.
The most consistent thing you've seen out of them is the fact that they sit 4 at the back. Other than that, it's kind of been a free-for-all. They've gone flat 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. They've stacked the boys at the top, shown many a different look, but only 1 win out of it.
Guadarrama headed backwards, and Lima couldn't put it on target. Gets by Lubin. To Blackman. Chance to slip this ahead. Tierpak pushing into the final third. Has to drag his run. The cross over Baez. And struck on a line. Hugo. Chance to counter here. Ben Spencer. Spencer in a surprise kit, perhaps, 99.
I would say he was at the fan shop pregame, but they're not Phoenix, are they? And he probably picked up a little blood in warm-ups or something and caused the kit man to not have a backup for him, so they went with 99. And that'd be my second choice. It's going to be a big addition for Austin Bold, building out of the back. Marcelo Serrano, high and mighty on McFarland. And their ability to maintain possession coming out of the back. Again, such a good job building forward, but really they hit half field, they slow things down. They don't necessarily go in transition a lot. And we talked about it in the open. Nothing truly groundbreaking tactically, but they give themselves a chance. You know, where we're going to sit back, withstand the pressure, and we'll pick and choose our moments. They probably need to choose a bit better, but they've shown over their first few matches, albeit most of them away from home, that they'll give themselves an opportunity to win. They've done that in every game so far.
Isaac shoved off the ball. Jason Johnson into the challenge. As far as Akugo. And Musa's in trouble. John Freeman, the referee today.
Five minutes in, already very start and stop between the two squads. Initially on the near touchline, and Musa coming back over, just a trailing leg. Tries to overextend himself. Javi Baez had actually already stepped in and won the challenge. McFarland just catching the back end of it.
There's Guadarrama. It's been over 10 years in the Mexican second division. An Austin native who played last year in San Antonio. And returns to his hometown with Austin Bold. 6th minute, Austin looking for something special off the set piece, and they won't even get it over Aganaga. Guadarrama recovers. Heavy touch, and a ricochet away from Guadarrama and off to the corner. Jermaine Taylor launching across, bounding down, contact referee waving his finger. Spencer will head that back into the Austin defensive half.
Lovely ball in by Jermaine Taylor, center back who had been up for the set piece. Just knocks it back in. Give them a chance. Again, they don't get many throughout their games. So when they do get one, they're going to have to capitalize. Phoenix did a good job closing them down. Austin felt like they had a PK, but definitely not.
Guadarrama whistled for the foul, tossing down Joey Farrell. Musa playing that holding role. Farrell, not his best look, will come to Jermaine Taylor. Lima. Chance to play Tierpak through. Tierpak around the corner, firing it in front. Didn't find Baez. Reversing as far as McFarland. It's clipped by Johnson. McFarland recovers. McFarland putting on the moves and slid out. And Lamar Batista makes his first start for Phoenix since March the 10th, the opener.
Phoenix better wake up. The game has started. The cow will tell you, 8 minutes in, Phoenix is flat, back line a bit flustered, not necessarily ready for the pace nor the press coming out of Austin Bold.
Guadarrama taking the corner. Come away. Get a second look at this. Devin, I was always told that it was the cock that crowed to wake people up. Instead, it's a mooing cow.
Could have told you that. I'm from Nebraska. You got to switch it up.
Guadarrama. That's over Tierpak.
Now there's a duck.
I think that was a human trying to sound like a duck.
If we start hearing the llamas, I'm turning around looking for Eric Ronaldo.
No Dolly and Dottie involved in this production. There was certainly some eyebrows raised this week. If you brought part of an approved list of farm animal, more on that in a moment. Promise Isaac driving the cross. You got free admission. Now, those animals are being kept, we've been told, about a quarter of a mile away with, well,
handlers.
Not only a veterinarian, but handlers as well. PETA made a statement suggesting that That was an incorrect way to house animals. By the same token, Austin Bold is an organization saying that it's an effort to try and better normalize how people and animals interact in a positive way. Ball over the top. McFarland chipping again, looking for Lima. And there's no time right now to talk about where the animals are because Austin has come out of the gate flying in these 10 minutes. Guadarrama, excellent service, didn't find Lima. Lubin knocks it down, and Tierpak had pushed into him in the process. Two back to their feet.
They have been shot out of a gun in this game. Austin Bold looking very nice early on. And Phoenix still struggling to play out of the back, something they've really prided their work ethic on in the offseason, as well as first few games here of 2019. Zach Lubin just on the near end line there, going up, and Tierpak with a little bridge. Go the other direction now.
Lubin drives it away. We're 10 minutes in. This header snap back to Restrepo, takes it off his chest. Austin, 4 games played, games in hand on everybody. And Devin, when I watch this team play and you talk to Rick Schantz about the varied formations, the first thing that crosses my mind is as an expansion team, you probably don't want an early bye week. It's a good recovery for Phoenix to get the ball back. And that is a dangerous studs-up challenge. John Freeman goes running in. McFarland knocked by Perez. That's a yellow card in Freeman's hands.
The Spaniard's not one to step out of his element and go negative. Just trying to win a challenge. Felt like the progression was going to push up and give Austin Bold an opportunity. So it's just a midfielder continuing through on his second challenge. Should have definitely kept that boot a bit lower, especially right in front of the referee. You want to try and get away with something. That's not necessarily the spot. Javi Perez just trying to help the midfield out and gain back some sort of momentum that has been lost here in the opening 12 minutes. He's a guy who's been interesting for the Phoenix Rising squad coming in, and he's a magician on the ball. Holds it up very well. Loney from LAFC. The only time that he really gets himself into trouble is transitional play on the defensive side of things. Doesn't have a massive amount of pace and struggles to keep up at times. Rick Schantz knows this, but he's surrounded himself in the middle with 2 speedzards in the likes of Aguinaga and James Musa. Musa more than capable of not only playing in that 6 midfielder role, but dropping in between the center backs to help out defensively and then pushing forward to get up top and try and help on the aerial threat.
Dropping in Aguinaga. Aguinaga goes to work after a momentary lapse. Batista is fouled.
Quick fun one for you, Mike. Did you see the rule changes yesterday?
I did.
So right then and there would have been a perfect example.
The ball doesn't have to leave the box.
It's amazing. It's amazing. No longer on a goal kick coming out does the ball have to leave the 18. So as an attacker, you still have to start outside of the 18. But as soon as that ball is touched, it is a free-for-all, and that will make for some interesting pieces. Had a conversation with someone who said, look, if you can't play a ball out of the box, you shouldn't be playing professional soccer. I said, the amount of mistakes that I've made in that situation, goalkeepers, you name it, everybody makes mistakes. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be at the next level.
Recovered by Malice. And some of those rules have already been put into play in some places, having to leave at the closest point of exit on the field due to a substitution to avoid time wasting. There's head coach Marcelo Serrano.
Believe it or not, most players that I came up with would love that rule. I mean, you're on the far touchline, you've just gone down, even if you have injury or not. Let's say you're You're playing the 11 on the right, and there's a substitution. It's the 80th minute. I don't want to walk all the way across the field. Let me walk off this touchline right here, and I'll walk all the way around as slowly as I like.
What if you're what if you're up by 1 with 2 minutes of stoppage and
I'm crawling off the field.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're pulling me off the field by my shoelaces.
This is a little more convincing from A.J. Cochran. In the 15th minute of the USL Championship game of the week, and Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the finest leagues in the world. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Tierpak, edge of the area. Well, they're pointing to the corner. Did get the ball, corner ahead for Austin. Anywho, latest Select products, special offers, selectsportamerica.com. Meanwhile,
oh, it's close. Close challenge right at the top of the box. He wins it, and it's definitely a corner. Tierpak gets there a hair sooner, and that's to the penalty mark.
Guadarrama, the corner, won by Spencer. Posing presence he is. And now Johnson, advantage played. Asante is the player forward. Spencer striding into the attack. Asante, Johnson trying to cut this back. It's recovered by Restrepo. The late run of Aguinaga was nearly the beneficiary. That taking a carom on its way through.
Better movement by Phoenix coming forward, but this is inexperience by Ben Spencer, not recognizing what Jason Johnson is capable of. We've seen a lot more indirect movements, we'll call it, out of Phoenix Rising this year, where Solomon Asante on the right, as well as Jason Johnson, and of course, Flemo, Junior Fleming's on the left, will tend to cut in and overtake space that they didn't acquire back in 2018, and that was a good example. Johnson picks it up, and Ben Spencer's out of position. If he holds that high line, he gives Solo another option, can play the early ball in, most likely a better opportunity to finish.
Meanwhile, a Phoenix foul, and Austin has a free kick in the attacking half. Quickly put in play, and this is simple enough for the Rising. Farland knocks it back. Devin, that leads to an interesting point. We knew Austin has varied approaches to pressing upfield, and they've gone as far as the 18, and they've really hit home a couple of times already in the first 17 minutes or so. But when you talk to Rick Schatz, it's clear this isn't last year's team. We want to play with the ball at our feet more. We want to connect the defense to the midfield. What do you make of how they've done so far with that?
They've struggled. They've struggled mightily, and except for the past probably 180, well, I'll call it 220 seconds, to be fair. They've done a bit better, and you can see what they can do in transition, but coming out of the back and building out goes all the way back to their thought process in preseason. So much so that in their preseason match versus Real Salt Lake, he wouldn't allow them to just knock a long ball and go. Carl Wazinski said, look, it started with me. I had to play with my feet, and all the defenders knew that you had to hit a certain number of passes, and you had to do it within 1 or 2 touches, or because it was preseason, he was bringing you off the field. Needless to say, in the opening 45 minutes, quite a few changes were made. In the second half, a tale of a different tape, and you've seen that progression. Again, everybody knows them as a high-powered offense that goes 100 miles an hour the other way. What they don't know is kind of what you saw last week versus El Paso, and if you didn't see it, here's the gist of it. They can build from the back forward. They can get to midfield in 2 seconds, then slow down and decide that, you know what, we're going to switch the field to pay. We're going to take our time to get up. If they can progress and get better in that area, that will give them the missing link to what they didn't have in 2018.
And it's certainly what Serrano and Austin are trying to stymie in this game. Lubin will come all the way out of the 18-yard box. And here comes Farrell, the former Rochester Rhino, and a LaSalle Explorer before that, playing for his legendary dad, a 30-year coach in Philadelphia. Lost by Johnson, and Isaac pushes into the attack. Baez, this will spray out wide. covered by Farrell. Musa pokes it forward. Kugo trying to body it up. Johnson using his speed. Spencer down the middle. That nearly got all the way through. Falls kindly, shot is wide by Asante. Asante applauds, but really that was nearly catastrophic for Austin.
Very critical of Solomon Asante last week and his inability to make better decisions, more specifically putting something on his left foot. He's obviously done his homework, takes this one down excellently, puts it on that left foot and just can't get it on frame. But better stuff from Phoenix Rising.
And you think about the leading scorers from last year. Chris Cortez has moved on. He's moved to Asia. Didier Drogba has retired. Those are two of your top 4 scorers. Only 4 guys scored 5 goals or more last year. Farrell was the 5th leading scorer, the center back with 4. Adorama. Even more pressure on Solomon Asante, who last year was an MVP candidate. Isaac sliced that through. Come back to McFarland. McFarland by Johnson. Ricochets up and over the crossbar. Will be a corner for Austin. Played a really inspired first 20 minutes, maybe their best 20 minutes in franchise history, as young as it is.
Spot on, and a lot of it was due to play like you just saw from Isaac Promise, the Nigerian, recognizing that McFarland had moved his way up and just held his run a bit and then bent around to the outside to allow that channel play to develop. Oh, first one didn't get knocked one in, and then the second ends up over the end line, but still much more impressive from the home squad.
Wadarama trying to force that over his shoulder, Isaac, and the foul. Cede the ball back to Phoenix. Fans, you can follow Phoenix, Austin, and the rest of the USL Championship all season long on ESPN+, home to the USL, MLS, UFC, and more. You can join over 2 million sports fans who've already discovered ESPN+. Watch the championship live every week. Sign up today, ESPNplus.com. Well, he's got to be a pretty happy man, I would think.
Spectacular start. Now you've not even withstood pressure, you've been able to apply your own, which is a plus. However, 22 minutes does not make a full match, does it?
Johnson gets by McFarland with ease. McFarland fast enough to catch up. Johnson fired back out. Austin trying to get a bit direct with it. Headed down by Baez. Pushed up to Tierpak. Chris Tierpak trying to get by Blackman. Chested backward, Lima was nearby. And Batista, who didn't have the most sparkling debut with Phoenix a month and a half ago, nearly created a dangerous moment.
Holding your breath for sure. Lamar Batista gets very lucky. Remember, he's also an inside left center back who they've moved outside, much like Tristan Blackman on the right. Those two boys are used to being in the middle calling the shots. Instead, it's A.J. Cochran and Joey Farrell.
That snuck out over the touchline. It is interesting. Rick Schatz has too many center backs, not enough left backs, plenty of right backs.
Plenty of left mids.
Yeah.
One right mid. He's getting there, though, right? I mean, they're building something here, and it's definitely gotten better. The problem is consistency, and it's difficult, too, because they've acquired sort of a relationship with LAFC where you see some players coming in and out on loan, high levels. But it's no different than what you see out of teams like Bethlehem Steel and Philadelphia Union, where you get guys from the MLS level getting an opportunity on loan here, possibly more playing time, possibly coming through injury, whatever it may be, and it disrupts their everyday patterns. And even though they may be a better player, it's difficult to manage not only the player himself, but the personalities too, because you got guys that are on Phoenix Rising contracts having to sit behind the likes of Blackman, Batista, and Javi Perez.
Guadarrama picked up a bit of a knock in that half a challenge a moment ago. Asante puts it forward, cross towards Spencer. Straight back. Come to Musa, who's involved in that previous collision. Cochran now. Boy, have Cochran and Farrell turned into quite the center back tandem. Excellent ball played through. Aginaga! No one was there. Asante will watch this skitter out of play. Well, the early stages of that looked outstanding.
Remember, he's not getting a lot of credit for the ball played in last week against El Paso because Logan Ketterer made an absolute blunder out of it. A.J. Cochran hit that ball on like a 40-yard rope. This time, it's about 25 yards on the ground. The ball is great. The turn is even better, to be honest. Aguinaga waiting for the back post run by Spencer. And keep an eye. We're starting to see a trend here from Ben Spencer up top, just mistiming of his runs. Couple opportunities pushed by the wayside because he can't get on the same page.
Phoenix pushed a bit further into their half. The LAFC players that came in joined the team on Monday. 3 players were added to the travel roster after the team stayed in Texas following their game on Saturday night. Dancing from Tierpak. And now the space is opened up. Cross for Lima, headed away by Cochran. Come out toward Malice. Scooped ahead, Tierpak. Tierpak looking out in front, knocked away. Lubin still alive. Baez off the back of Musa. Johnson a backward touch, and the foul from Guadarrama knocking the very sturdy Johnson off of his bearings.
Zach Lubin needs to get on his defensive unit. There's a terrible dive in by Blackman on the right side, and as this ball comes back up top, not one single person. Look at James Musa, resides himself to standing 5 yards in front of the strike with his arms behind his back. You have to put pressure on the ball, especially when you're the last line of defense. You're the only one in the area. That doesn't mean you dive in, but you have to get closer. You give Javi Baez that opportunity one more time, that'll end up in the back of the net.
And Musa is down. James Musa is an interesting player, Devin. I think you and I both see plenty of potential in his technical skill. He's really well liked in Kansas City. Went to the USL Cup final with them, was injured the back end of last year, but still trying to find the upper reaches of his play, the native of England who played with the New Zealand national team.
He had cemented himself as their go-to number 6 last year. As you mentioned, just picked up that ankle injury towards the finale of the season. Thought maybe they might have him back for a playoff run. It was not meant to be. And now struggling to find playing time with all the pieces that they've picked up, not only from a loanee standpoint, which we've talked about and seen in the lineup tonight, but also on their own roster. Remember, they went out and got Red Bull player Jose Aguinaga. That's a big one. They've still got Devin Vega, who's spent some time in FC Tucson. Joey Calistri was a big signing for them as well, coming over from St. Louis, who no longer fit into Anthony Pulis' plans. And how do you find a way to consistently make a mark? Well, I'll tell you what, defensively, you've got to do much better than what we just saw.
Well, he'll make his way off, and we'll see whether he'll continue on, or if he could be out of the equation here. I think you could argue that most every position on the Phoenix roster is up for grabs every single week outside of Solomon Asante. I think you could make an argument that Joey Farrell didn't play well in preseason. He's out. Needed an opportunity to get back. Zach Lubin is a guy, a goalkeeper, who needed a poor handling of a free kick by Carl Wazinski to get his shot. Everyone's got to play on that edge because there's just too much talent and depth for anything else.
Solomon Asante and Amadou Dia at left back. Those are the only two. They're the only two that you could put their name and pen on a regular basis. And you say, well, Devin, Dia's not playing tonight. Stay with me. They had a game on the weekend. They've got a midweek game, and then they play Tacoma Defiance on Saturday. So this is an opportunity for Rick Schantz to get some rotation into his lineup, get some fresh legs in there, and also get some playing time. But you're right, those two guys and the rest of the 9 go get it. Makes for some nice training ground battles, though.
That's headed down, and Austin will take over. Baez lobbing this up. It's over Guadarrama. I mean, I was ready with a Sharpie for Jason Johnson this year. There were some players where I was pretty confident.
Junior Flemings has other ideas, doesn't he?
Precisely.
Seems like every person with Jamaican heritage this year in the USL has really taken it to another level.
Yeah.
Last international break, they had 8 go on international duty. 8 players.
There is a Gold Cup squad that's been to the last 2 finals of that competition that features, at present, 8 USL Championship players. Fairly impressive. Asante, can he get there? No. Restrepo sneak over and grab this. A guy who played in the U17 World Cup for the United States. His roommates included Omar Gonzalez and Josie Altidore. Half an hour gone in the championship game of the week. Guadarrama in pursuit. And down is Cochran.
AJ Cochran appealing to the referee that caught something just across his palate there as he's trying to show off the blood. As Brennan Hodge comes out and maybe give him a bit of an adjustment. Interesting how well Austin Bold have done coming into this game. Totally different look than what we've seen out of them. Sonny Guadarrama getting an opportunity to impose his will in the starting 11. Nice to see him get a chance. But we did say that who was going to step in for Kleber, and Andre Lima has been quiet. There's been a lot going forward for them, but they still don't have that point play. They don't have hold-up play. And you don't necessarily need that, but when these balls are being served into the box, you're up there for a reason. If you're not going to hold the ball up for me, you've got to make a run to try and get on one of these crosses. And that hasn't been the case so far.
Lubin over Spencer. Watch out. We've seen that movie play out before. Last week in El Paso, it was one of those absolute howler moments for a goalkeeper. Long ball over the top, slipping on the ground. And a clinical finish from Junior Flemings. Asante does go down 5 yards outside the penalty area. The challenge by Di Velarde, not perfect. And so free kick coming, and it's quick by Johnson. Blown back and brought back by John Freeman.
Solo likes to dance on the ball. It's a bit weak, to be honest.
Yeah, a little.
It's difficult because Asante cutting back to his right, the referee's view. It's difficult to see based upon all the bodies in the area, and this is an area of concern that Rick Schantz says that they are actively trying to fix on the training ground. Have not had a lot of success from set-piece opportunities. You talked about goals and the likes of Chris Cortez and Didier Drogba departing. How many times did we see Drogba standing over set pieces, end up in the back of the net? Thinks maybe Jason Johnson can get involved. There's become this rotation where previously they had this hierarchy. They knew who number 1 would be, and then 2 or 3 could be right there. That no longer exists. They're expecting the likes of John Baquero to get that done, but he's sitting over in Spain right now, waiting for a green card, hoping that the Jamaican can finish one off.
Well, for now, it's JJ. Jason Johnson, a thunderbolt saved by Restrepo. Does all he can to put it over the top.
Not the most teasing of shots from Jason Johnson, but look at the dip, a bit of spin right at the end. Diego Restrepo held his ground well, just positioned so appropriately between the sticks. Good save.
Farrell brought that down. Well, thumbs up for the first effort. Follow-up not quite as good. Well, Restrepo proving he is indeed tall enough to ride the ride with that excellent save.
Joey Farrell, that one ends up in the back of the net. You'll never hear the end of it. you talked about goals and sometimes where they came from, and Joey Farrell, 5 goals. He's got the one this year. This is his claim to fame for Phoenix Rising. He's the all-time leading scorer, defender.
Okay.
and number 2, Pete Ramage, who's now on the Phoenix Rising coaching staff. So I'm sure they still have some fun battles going on in training, and most of them have come from the air, haven't they?
Hooked away from Tierpak. Spencer, can he play this through? He does. It's a little bit slow. Aginaga didn't get that quite right. Well, Austin spared their blushes because Phoenix went 100 miles an hour the other way.
Spencer puts pace on this, they're in. He doesn't. Tracks back around. Good job by Jason Johnson tucking inside to allow the left-sided space for Ben Spencer to open up, and Aginaga just can't put it on frame. And that's some of the stuff we've seen from Phoenix in the final third, where they do so well to make their way about 80% down the field, and they waste the entire progression on some poor decision-making once they get down there.
Velarde. Great effort on the first try. Blackman nearly had that stripped away by Tierpak. Up by McFarland. McFarland whipping that out of play. Well, Devin, the U.S. Open Cup and the second round matchups were released today. Both these clubs will be facing fellow USL Championship opposition, but 3 weeks away from the opening round after qualifying, which will include League One and a few other leagues. Then the championship jumps in. Austin will face Tulsa Roughnecks. And we do know Phoenix will be at home in the first round. Johnson and McFarland going head-to-head.
They're going to be at home versus guess who? New Mexico United. And
I just can't wait.
The party continues. I can't wait to see that game. That was a wide-open affair where Troy Lessane's boys just looked amazing, waxing poetic until it all went south. Jason Johnson got involved. Solomon Asante looked pretty. Adam John, and ended up 3-3. That'll be a fun one. And how about the other one? Reno, Sacramento Republic. Another great Western Conference matchup that should definitely turn some heads in the early goings of the 2019 U.S. Open Cup. Santi Moar. Hat trick in the first half last game. 7 goals in 7 games.
Take that, Luca Lobo.
Ooh.
No longer the Golden Boot leader. He's the co-leader. The outside pass from Tulsa. It is a free kick coming for Phoenix.
At the tail end of this, you'll see Phoenix try and play quick again. We'll get to that in a second. Aginaga trying to tango on the near touchline, and Callum Malice just steps in, doesn't agree with the referee's decision. I feel your pain, Callum. I've been there. And keep an eye when they do hear the referee's whistle. That was another alternative to Rick Shantz's issues from set pieces, where they try and go quick. They've done it twice, both times only to be blown back by our center ref.
Initial header won by Bold. Batista, negative pass to Musa. Cochran's head on a swivel. Perez, Asante looking for Spencer, tapped aside by Jermaine Taylor. Corner Phoenix, 39th minute. And quickly put in play, Perez, Batista. Nice ball back, Aginaga setting it up. And Jason Johnson getting catcalled by this Austin crowd.
Pun intended. That could be considered a farm animal, right?
Are cats allowed?
Now, what are you talking about? Good quick play from Phoenix. Jason Johnson will feel he should have done better at the tail end of it. Nice little sitter right at the top of the 18, courtesy of Aguinaga. Lucky to escape the bad weather so far. Absolutely beautiful night for football.
Crowd not quite as robust as the opener. A 5,000 plus sellout for the first game, although it's filled in as the night's gone along. Nice turn by Asante. Wasn't quite able to carry it with him. Did win the throw. And the slide, Aguinaga fouled. Di Velarde is angry. Restrepo is loud. Malice appears to get the yellow. And John Freeman's not having it.
No, and Malice talked his way into this one from his previous experience with John Freeman. Freeman went right to his book as he soon heard the pleasantries being spoken to him, and Andre Lina will just step in for his compatriot Callum Malice and help him out a bit. Gets into trouble as the tackles from behind here. Does get some of the ball, but it's that early foot when you watch. Nice little turn. See, early foot catches him. Left foot goes to ground. Right foot follows through and grabs the ball, but forget what happens early on. Malice just says, you know what? I don't agree. Again, for a third time. I don't care what color that card is. He does, and so do I.
You know, you never see a player count the number of,
Yeah.
Not often enough. Anywho.
I tried to, I couldn't count, so. We've spoken about this. Thanks for bringing it up again.
So Malice gets the yellow, the former second-round pick of Montreal Impact, having over 100 games experience there. Now it'll either be Avi Perez or Jason Johnson. It is Johnson! That's excellent from Restrepo. He's been challenged twice, mano-a-mano with Johnson. This time steers it aside.
At least for this match, Phoenix Rising have found their set piece taker. Beautiful strike by Jason Johnson, and Diego Restrepo bails his team out just before halftime. What a fantastic save.
Let's be frank, Devin. For an expansion team, sometimes you need that goalkeeper that can carry you. That was a really shrewd investment by Austin on a team that has a lot of fairly high-priced pieces. Attack is on here. Lima tries to return and scoop that over toward Musa. Asante trying to be clever. Slid away from Baez. Phoenix started with 4 consecutive draws, and they come off a 2-0 win against El Paso that moves their all-time record against expansion teams, their first ever game, to exactly 500. For an area to cross. Spencer shoved away. Thomas Isaac. And on continues Phoenix. Springing into the corner, it's away from Aguinaga.
Great job by Tristan Blackman to go in and win this tackle as Aguinaga couldn't release it. Jason Johnson felt like maybe that ball should have come to him on the back post. Probably not far off. Look at Marcelo Serrano and his staff. They should be pleasantly happy with their performance so far, given all the circumstances.
Lima kept it still. Isaac. There's nobody in the pocket for Phoenix. Aginaga came to take it back. Spencer. Those long limbs powering downfield. McFarland. That did stay in play, according to the referee. Baez. Tear back the target. He's switched onto the right-hand side. Musa, acres of space. Spencer wanted it at his feet. Instead, Aginaga. Johnson slid aside. Jermaine Taylor, all that experience. And the 34-year-old Jamaican helps up his countryman.
Nice little smile between the two competitors. Always great to see as Jason Johnson understands that this is just a phenomenal play by the center back sliding over. Yeah, I know you. Well done, buddy. That's the beautiful part of this game we all know and love, where sometimes things can become quite heated, the emotion can pile over, but there's still that charismaticness that's carried over between countrymen and their love of what goes on in 90 minutes.
And former teammates in Houston for the Dynamo. 3 minutes at a time, and a chance to tell you can get updates and alerts all year long by following your club on ESPN.com. You can search for Austin or Phoenix or any club, and then click on the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores, plus get reminders on your team's next match. Go to ESPN.com now and click follow. Phoenix manufacture a goal before halftime. Johnson, Taylor's hand is up. He was looking for an offside flag that never came. Austin about 2 minutes away from getting to halftime against the reigning Western champion, one of the most talented teams in the league. And they went toe-to-toe.
I'd take the over, and I'd be broke. And this is one of those games where, to be fair, when it sets up, looks like Phoenix Rising could have their way and, you know, be up 2-3-0 at halftime. That's not the case. Should be proud so far. Still work to be done.
Away from Perez. Batista's got to cover a lot of ground. Tear pack. It's irrelevant. If you're Phoenix, what do you change? At halftime, they've varied the extent to which they've been direct. They've gotten in transition a couple times, a couple good free kicks. There have been moments.
Well, the problem is the big one right there.
Spencer. Not good enough, but the hold-up play was kind to begin with.
He's got to find a way to make sure he's staying in constant contact with his midfielders, and even the long balls coming out of the back. That's a spot where Phoenix want a long ball in him. They want him to hold up play and allow the outside attackers to progress, while also getting reinforcements in the middle of the field. That hasn't been the case. And also, when he does peel off and he checks away, is he making the right runs? We haven't seen that either, and that's not inexperience from Ben Spencer. He's just out of sorts tonight.
Their late first half goal, the offing for Phoenix, half a minute to play. Aginaga. Good ball skills. Asante. Asante! Another save for Restrepo. He's made 3 outstanding stops in the first half.
There's another look. You expect him to continue to dance and maybe challenge you one-on-one to the byline. Instead, pulls the trigger. Almost 30 yards out. Diego Restrepo called to duty once again. That's another one they need to figure out how to get involved. Javi Perez, too talented going forward to not have him involved in the run of play more.
Perez, maybe the final kick of the first half. Johnson goes down. Aginaga caught by Restrepo, and there's the halftime whistle. 45 minutes plus in the books. Highlights, stats, and more coming up at halftime as we'll take you around the USL Championship with news and notes and a look at the upcoming USL on ESPN schedule. Well, excellent performance for Austin as Rick Schon's side trying to avoid a 5th draw in 6 games. The better chances certainly did belong to Phoenix. Restrepo, 3 great saves. We've got the halftime show coming up after this. Scoreless between Austin and Phoenix at halftime. Devin, question for you. If Monica McPherson and John McPherson bring a llama to the game, where do they put it?
I don't know. Trick question? Tell me.
Well, Monica actually did well enough to tweet out where you bring your llama, where the animals go when you make your way out to Bold Stadium on a night where they're celebrating the very best farm animals in all the land.
Lot B. I would have gone with A, to be fair. A is for apple. A is for alpaca. That's what I would be bringing with me. No, I had this conversation. I'd probably be bringing a goat. Goat would give me the opportunity to get other people involved, but Monica McPherson, the First Lady of Phoenix Rising, who seems to travel around to every single game, and I'm not just talking about the home ones. She loves this league, huge passion. We see her all over, and nice to see her visiting her boys in beautiful city of Austin. Wonder if she brought a farm animal.
I'm not sure that she did, but Monica and John are in Austin as always. Scoreless between Austin and Phoenix, and the USL Championship is heating up. Let's take a look at the very latest from USL headquarters.
That's where Louisville wants to attack, shooting and scoring.
Saved by Caldwell.
Collier. Yes!
Collier.
Knock back towards Spencer. Brilliant finish.
fantastic players from like all over the states, and it's just really fun.
How awesome is that? USLX, 72 of North America's top youth players from across the Super Y League. Cincinnati, San Antonio, Phoenix, and now Tampa Bay have hosted that coming a week ago. Congratulations to all those selected. All the best of them moving forward. They saw a banger of a goal against Louisville last week. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, let's take a look at news and notes from around the USL Championship. Tampa Bay, the #1 spot in the league, #1 spot in the East. Santi Moar continues to make it run for New Mexico.
Easy, easy Tampa Bay. Easy Neil Collins. We see you. They're much better out of the gate, and they traditionally start slow, but the big thing for them, they've done it on the road. Watch out. If that tide has turned, it'll be very difficult to take down the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Santi Moar, fantastic start. Louisville City, get rid of the injury bug, get back on track.
Louisville the last 3 years have been the most prolific team in the league. Tampa Bay 30 points less. The entire difference is on the road. Meanwhile, notable results from around the championship in the week that was, and boy, there were some standouts, some big scoring games. Red Bulls a 4-0 win over Hartford, who continue to try and find anything at all. Eric Winalda's side, 5-0 win over Tacoma. Tacoma has slumped to the very bottom of the league in goal differential, and it's not close.
Negative 15. 19 goals against, and just 4. Yeah, see, I can still do math. How about Birmingham Legion? Fighting Chandler Hoffman still isn't on the score sheet. However, they do get a 3-2 victory in St. Louis. That's big news. And Martin Rennie's squad looked nice versus Swope Park Rangers the other night. Brilliant performance. Dane Kelly moves himself 2 ahead. 69 total goals, 2 ahead of Jorge Herrera.
Let me say this, Birmingham gets about 20 great games out of Hoffman where he scores seemingly every other game. They want it to happen in like 4 months. Here's the upcoming game of the week schedule. We're on ESPN2. Nashville and the aforementioned Tampa Bay Rowdies. But first, Louisville, the reigning champions, at home against Memphis.
That should be a good game, huh? Yeah. The Nashville Tampa Bay Rowdies. Okay, see, Steve Cook, what is that? That's a work in progress. They're good, they're bad, they're mediocre, they're all of it so far, but come June 5th, they should be a bit better. And Birmingham Legion, again, Nashville. I don't see it. I don't see it with Adam Smith. Too much firepower, and oh, by the way, an unhealthy Cameron Lancaster. Once again, watch out. Down the stretch, that could hurt you.
Yeah, we've seen it before. We'll see it again. It's halftime at Bold Stadium in Austin, and Austin and Phoenix are scoreless. We'll show you the very best from the first half. Stats when we return.
Good show. Back now to Scott Sterling.
Bold Stadium at the Circuit of the Americas outside Austin, Texas. A city waiting and waiting for pro soccer. It has returned by way of Austin Bold Football Club. They're taking on the reigning USL Championship Western Conference champions. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand for the championship game of the week on ESPN3. First half highlights, and the early going, Austin seemed to have a pretty good hold of this game. But when Phoenix got numbers going the other way, they were dangerous.
It was intermittent, for sure. I mean, they were in and out of the game. Opening 20 minutes was all the home squad. Austin Bold got shot out. They looked great, and it was difficult for Phoenix Rising to counter. They did get some individual movements out of Jason Johnson, which allowed them to get into the final third a bit more frequently. The first one you saw just recently, this one comes to the far post. Love the ball across the box, but where is Ben Spencer? That was the theme of the first half. Asante brings it up from the rear and can't put it on frame, but the big guy up top, no Adam John, now Ben Spencer. This is your opportunity to shine. Too many chances were wasted because of the fact that you didn't know what was coming your direction. That's okay. Other people will step up, but this is your chance to get involved in the run of play, take advantage of it. AJ Cochran, back-to-back games, puts balls on a dime, just haven't been able to finish it off. Last week they could, tonight, not the same.
Meanwhile, Aguinaga showed well in this first half. When Phoenix played on the back shoulder, the last defender, they had good moments. On free kicks, they had good moments.
In an area of concern that we discussed in the first 45, who was it going to be? Jason Johnson answered the call. And if it wasn't for Diego Restrepo and 3 fantastic saves, he could have easily had a brace, if not a hat trick. And then they really started to open things up towards the latter portion of the second half. Momentum was swinging their way, but again, things that plagued them in the first few matches, decision-making. Aguinaga could have slid it through better to Spencer. He does not. He then has the overlapping run from Spencer to give it to him. Misses wide instead. This was the aforementioned second free kick by Jason Johnson. The Jamaican firing on all cylinders in the first half. Unfortunately, Diego Restrepo was operating on some hijinks that pushed the Jamaican out of the way.
Restrepo, 3 outstanding saves, and as Phoenix Rising's Twitter account might say, little Texas two-step from Solomon Asante. He is stymied. Well, there are the numbers from the first half. And truth be told, I think Austin's probably okay with how this is shaped up.
You never really thought that they were going to be able to replicate what happened in the first 20, 25 minutes. But they were able to keep a composition on the defensive side of things like we showed in the open, where just kind of withstand the pressure and, yeah, going the other way. We'll try and get a chance if need be. And coming into the second half, you'll probably see things open up even more as Phoenix Rising will continue to push this tempo. They have too much pace on the field, and they've got reserves on the bench to help them. So expect a lot higher pace game and expect Austin Bold to sit even further back to withstand this pressure.
So that's how it stacks up at halftime. Let's take a look at what's coming up for Austin Bold. They'll take on a fellow expansion team, Copa Tejas, in real time. El Paso Locomotive, and then the Monarchs. So 3-game homestand here to make things right, Dev.
And make it nice because they only had 1 in their opening 4, and you know, we're seeing the second one now. They did well versus San Antonio FC, and this could be a turning point for them. I talked about it, that maybe Phoenix Rising getting a point out of this, for them is a victory, a moral one. You turn the corner, and you have to take on a very tactically sound team in the likes of El Paso Locomotive and get some going forward in the schedule. Phoenix Rising, on the other hand, will look to continue their unbeaten run, not just tonight, but this weekend against Tacoma Defiance, formerly Seattle Sounders 2. How about right around the corner? That's going to be a difficult schedule. Going to Papa Murphy's Park and Simon Elliott's squad, Braden Cloutier in Orange County, and then you come home. But RGV, they're a weird one. They're a bit of a wild card. More difficult at HEB Park, but still a force to be reckoned with. And Las Vegas Lights. Las Vegas Lights of 2019, a stark difference from 2018. However, still don't know what they are.
Well, Copa Tejas mentioned it earlier, Devin, and you and I have talked about a little bit off air how exciting it is that I think the Four Corners Cup is what they're calling it up in Colorado and with Utah and all that group. Those are the current standings between Austin, El Paso, RGV, and San Antonio FC. So it's going to be a season-long competition. The fans came up with the concept. I love it.
I'm going to take San Antonio with a runner-up finish by El Paso.
Oh, I thought you were going to say San Antonio was a runner-up.
No.
Steve Harvey, I have the wrong envelope moment, I thought.
No, Darren Powell would definitely give me a shellacking if I went that direction.
if you're Austin, this is a chance to maybe win a trophy year one, because you know there are 12 guys on this team that are 30 years or older. This is a really experienced group, and I'm not sure we've got them as USL Cup contenders. You look at how old the players who have seen time on the field, and they just signed DeMar Phillips this week. That's a pretty old group compared to a Phoenix side that only has 2 over the age of 30.
2 that are regular starters as well for Phoenix normally, outside of Carl Wazinski, who's been replaced by Lubin, and Dumbuya, who's coming off of injury. And experience is something to be had. Javi Baez is one who's been regularly going. Diego Restrepo, great night. But the rest of them, can you continuously put in 90 minutes at that age? One person, yes. A starting 11, even 8 out of 11, going to be very difficult to do. So don't be surprised if Marcelo Serrano starts to reinforce this with a bit of youth 3, 4, 5 games from now, as he starts to realize that he needs some help alongside his veterans who are doing the dirty work at this point in time.
Well, Rick Sean saying, well, you mentioned Peter Ramage and Blair Gavin on that bench as well, former Phoenix Rising players, ready for the second half of play. Austin, a team that has games in hand on everybody, but only 2 goals scored in 4.5 games. It has a habit of getting late early in the championship. It's a long season, 9 months, but that in mind, Austin trying to kind of win here at home for the first time and get going in the right direction. Ball slip back to Restrepo. Well, Austin began their season with a draw against Las Vegas on the road, lost at Reno, and then they did win rather here at home in San Antonio before that 1-0 loss 11 days ago at Sacramento. If you're Austin, I think you could say going away to Sacramento, hosting Phoenix, that is the ringer. This is about as tough as the West is going to get. Now, whether they played their best football on the day is a different question. Sante slicing that through. He'll run to Restrepo.
A question that need not be answered at this point in time. We're all so quick to say, what about this? What about that? Here's what I've seen. We're 5, 6, 7 games into the 2019 season. I mean, we all need to pump the brakes a bit, myself included, because it's fun to speculate. But the matriculation that will be the artistry of Marcelo Serrano is still not necessarily in full effect. And, you know, you and I had a comment about what had been in terms of what we've seen so far, and his verbiage on what they should be was totally different in an article that he gave an interview on about how they're not a team that's going to sit back and go another direction. They're going to be more exciting. We've definitely seen the exciting part tonight.
Tierpak gets tackled.
You're all right. Get up.
Well, the locals aren't a big fan of, well, the knock taken by Musa here.
Musa saw the challenge from behind in the first half, and he was a bit weak and weary on that ankle going into halftime. Not necessarily shocked that Rick Schantz brought him back out, but hobbling just a tad. Now a set piece for the home squad. Phoenix Rising tried a few tricks in the first half. Diego Restrepo answered those calls. Zach Lubin positioning his wall, hoping that Callum Malice doesn't intend to go direct.
Malice does have this kind of range. Ultimately put it into Aguinaga. Lobs it over the top. Header, that's over Taylor. Recovered here by Tierpak. Off target. I think everyone was a little shocked the whistle never blew.
Shocked the whistle doesn't blow, and shocked that this ball does not give them a 1-0 lead. Tristan Blackman might have come in and applied just enough pressure for Tierpak to hear the footsteps.
Header upfield. Contact. That's not going to draw a whistle, all things considered tonight. Velarde wants to play quickly. Austin firing on all cylinders at the outset of the second half. Perhaps it's more that Phoenix is not. Johnson, Asante. Solomon Asante putting on the moves, the back heel click. Johnson crossing, handed away as far as Baez. Perez was crawling up his back. And look at Isaac, couldn't keep that in.
Good stuff by Isaac Promise. Just continuing this movement by Austin Bold up that far touchline right in front of his managers. If you had to take a look at this back line and wonder where the pressure would be, it probably would be on that left side with Lamar Batista. As Mike mentioned, not the best debut for Phoenix Rising initially, and now you isolate him out on the outside. You put him next to a very capable A.J. Cochran, but shaky in the first half. That's funneled over here to the second.
Rising players are wandering off toward the end line to begin their warm-ups. Early in the second half, Guadarrama slips it ahead, Lima. Isaac pushing toward the byline. This will be a throw as Batista went to ground. I don't think Phoenix totally accounted for the level of pace that Austin does have.
No one did.
I think this is a much faster group than they put out 11 days ago. Their rotation seems to show it.
It's totally different. Let's see how long it lasts. 20 minutes into 25 into the first half, they started to back off. You've seen them go 100 miles an hour so far, but will that continue for the entirety of the second half?
The cross, tier pack, caught by Lubin off the hop. Lubin wants to play. Here comes Phoenix. Distribution on point. That's a heavy touch, and now Austin, 3v3. Guadarrama has Malice overlapping, but Guadarrama wants it himself! What a goal for Guadarrama! The Austin native with something truly special.
Why not? Sonny Guadarrama just allows Callum Malice to pull Joey Farrell about 1.5 feet to his right. The center back does nothing wrong as he has to account for the overlapping run. But Guadarrama makes them pay. And 10 minutes just shy of us being into the second half. You have a hometown hero. And for now, his name be Sonny Guadarrama.
Your attention, please. Scoring for your Austin Bold.
Interesting, Rick Shantz told us that one of his major concerns going in transition was their inability to be a cohesive unit as they built out of the back. Good look at it just now. Tristan Blackman is not on the same page as his boys in the middle. Doesn't play a bad ball, just lost in translation between the midfield and Jason Johnson, who was tucking in, it looked like. And they're hung out to dry. They go the other way, too much space in the middle. And Guadarrama just shows that veteran capability to allow the play to develop, and he made Phoenix Rising pay.
He's been better in the attacking third than I ever remembered him at San Antonio. And I'm not trying to say anything about where Darren Powell employed him or what his best spot on the field is, but he has been heavily utilized tonight. It's a big challenge. Ball nearly squirted free to Asante. Cochran. Well, if you're Phoenix, I do have a positive, if you can call it that. Their first 3 games, they scored 7 different game-tying goals. At no point were they down by 2.
That shows you they have the character and heart to fight back, and also the ability to put the ball in the back of the net. They're hoping that will continue to transpire in this match, as really only look the benefactor against El Paso.
Perez, Johnson, let it get under him. Musa kept it alive.
It's funny because it's truly the only match last game where they were out in front and they held the lead and they made them chase. Every other time they've had to play catch up. That's not something Rick Schantz likes to do. He said that we're really trying to take the game to our opponents this year, and yet once again you're playing from behind, having to fight your way through.
Here comes Austin again. Phoenix is stretched. Lima slipping through Isaac! No, was closed down by Batista. Austin so very close to that second goal that could give them a little bit of leeway.
Isaac Promise trying to fulfill his. Well done, nice 1-2. Bad step by AJ Cochran. Good recovery by the outside back and Lamar Batista. But the true brilliance comes from Zach Lubin and his ability to put the tiniest of body just outside the 6 on Isaac Promise, the Nigerian right behind Sonny Guadarrama. An excellent play in the final third for Austin Bold.
Musa. Asante taking his man one-on-one. Velarde trying to grab at his shoulders. Asante sends this across, chested down, Johnson. And in the end, play will come back. We've seen Johnson just take that off the bounce and let it rip in the past.
Take it off the bounce, take it out of the air. I mean, the wonder goal he scored last year. Solomon Asante getting just to the end. Floats one to the back, and yeah, it came off the hand, didn't it? Right off the chest, and got that collarbone area that can cause some frustration at times, especially when you're backtracking, you're moving left. Bit of pace on the ball.
Lima. Boy, Austin looks like they've had all the fun in this second half. Early ball. The wind is whipping seemingly in varied directions if you follow the flags around the stadium.
Guess who showed up for Austin Bold? Andre Lima. Great hold-up play just there, and that's kind of been the story here in the second half. Notice when Austin goes in transition next time coming down the field, the two boys up top, Tierpak and Promise, go and hug the touchline and really space things out.
What does he have to follow up? Guadarrama onto his right, heavy touch, danger still. Covered by Malice, wide, Velarde. Service with nobody stretched out far touchline. And if you're Austin, this is a team that, by their own admission, not a team that backs up to goal and waits to counter. They've tried to play by their estimation. I'm not sure you and I have seen that quite as much, but today it does seem a little more like they've been ready to go, as Blackman kept that away from Tierpak.
That's where the early thoughts of, oh, this is what they are, watch out, they're never going to make it. You have to remember, they're figuring things out just like every other team, and they're a brand new franchise.
They played 4 games.
4 games in, and they haven't been the best 4 games, but you get in, you have veteran, experienced players. However, it's not in Austin, it's not in the stadium, it's not under this coach, it's not necessarily with the guys on the bench who are in the training ground, and so sometimes the tactics that you work on throughout the week don't necessarily progress onto the field. And I think that's probably what you've seen out of Austin Bold over their first 4 matches, but not necessarily the case tonight.
Johnson kept it alive. This will ricochet aside. Effort by Javi Perez. Will be a corner for Phoenix nearing the hour mark.
And if you're Phoenix, try and play quick here. Lure someone into the sideline, down into the corner, play the 2-man game. Jason Johnson, there's the cut-in we talked about. Javi Perez tries to go with placement. Good job by Calamalis just stepping up into the middle.
Perez. That's steered over by Farrell. Here's the thing right now with Phoenix, Devin. It's a group that knew they were going to change their style of play drastically. The ownership group has been made aware of that. And I think in the long run, they will appreciate that these ups and downs will result in something better. But there have been times where there's, I think, a little bit of panic. And yet, if they win this game, they'll be 1 point off their pace for 6 games last year. Attack is on here. Slip through Lima. Coming out, Lubin stops Isaac. Corner now, Austin.
Phoenix will be 1 point off their pace, and with games in hand, only 1 win away from being right back at the top of the Western Conference. But Zach Lubin, much like Restrepo in the first half, he's stepping up here in the second. James Musa tracking back in. Isaac Promise continue to call his name out. Lubin frustrated with his back line. He should be.
Guadarrama took a hiatus, felt that itch to return. The beautiful game. A phenomenal goal in the 52nd, and this effort will come to a halt. John Freeman going into the middle of the penalty area to try and lay down the rules once again with Okugo and Batista. Guadarrama. Isaac was swarmed. 2 players both going after the ball. Junior Flemings has come into the game for Phoenix a moment ago. And that slid away. So Flemings, who scored a goal with some help against El Paso. This is going to fly way out of play. Got over the concession stand and out entirely from Musa. Flemings has come on here for his 6th appearance. Javi Perez, who was on a yellow card, came out.
Now will be the true gut check for Phoenix Rising. They've tried this experiment before where they bring off a midfielder, and this time it's a holding midfielder and the likes of Javi Perez. Previously, we've seen them do it. Solomon Asante tucks into the 10 alongside Aguinaga, which so far he has. And Jason Johnson's gone to the right. Flemings has stayed on the left, but that's when Flemings was already in the game and Jason Johnson was the sub. Currently, they're allowing Junior Flemings to be on the right, and don't be surprised if you see some cut-in play from him, much like we saw Jason Johnson in the opening 45, looking for a balance on the right and left, since you are going to push the Ghanaian and the likes of Solomon Asante in the middle of the field. Very offensive-minded substitution.
Cochran powered that too far. It sort of lets Asante go wherever he wants, doesn't it?
In theory. The problem is the last time they tried it, it didn't work out so well. I asked Rick Shantz about it. I said, listen, you know, do you regret moving Solo into the 10? And he said, you know, it just gave us the best opportunity to win because we felt like he was much more composed in a pressure-tight situation than the likes of who else we had on the bench. And some very similar people on the bench tonight in the likes of Devin Vega and Joey Calistri, not necessarily the guys that you would want fulfilling the 10 role in a situation like this.
Lifted up by Malice. Guadarrama found Isaac, slipped away by Batista. Ground broke on this beautiful stadium on October the 24th. And North Grandstand shaded. Light poles were added in February. They're hoping for a second straight win here. Flemings contact whistle. And Flemings is going to be shown a yellow for simulation.
It has been a problem globally where players have gotten themselves into positions to try and take advantage of the referee. Don't necessarily think that was one of them. That looked like there was contact on Junior Flemings inside the box. That's one where Junior Flemings just cuts in, gets in one-on-one. That looked like there was contact for sure, but referee felt otherwise.
Malice. Velarde. Malice again. At 29, the median age on this Austin club.
It's awkward to hear.
25 players, 14 nations, 12 over 30, and a gap of 21 years between oldest and youngest. This will slip through the back line and come to Cochran with Guadarrama in pursuit. Of course, last year, I think that's a heavy challenge from Batista.
He's frustrated and having some words with the sideline as well. Batista felt like he was fouled, probably wasn't wrong. And it's nice to see the sportsmanship, but just letting his emotion get the best of him for a second as he now makes friends with our head referee, John Freeman.
And McFarland, too. Nice little hug between the two.
He immediately knew it. Went back, hand up. That's okay. The Jamaican contingent, the brethren, more than happy to play matchmakers here, and everybody can be happy.
McFarland, Taylor, Johnson, and Flemings has come in off the bench to join that contingent. It's a set piece for Austin. Phoenix will wait, make their second substitution. Contact again. John Freeman let that play out. Belongs to the Rising, and here comes a change.
Your attention, please. Substitution Phoenix Rising now entering the game at the 16th minute. Number 23, Devin Vega. For number 19, Jose
Vega replaces Aguinaga.
That move you can make once you bring Solomon inside. That gives you the ability to still stretch things outside, and now you've got fresh legs in the middle of the field. Aguinaga, not his best night. Definitely nothing like we saw out of him in the match versus El Paso. Got some speed, the likes of the 20-year-old. He's out of Texas as well, San Antonio, but still would love to get something here.
When you talk geographical rivalries, that's about as close as it gets in the league. That's about 80 miles, Austin and San Antonio. Bethlehem and Red Bulls are playing certainly close this year too. Flemings cutting it around the edge, playing it to the back post. We've seen that before. Spencer goes in. Got Restrepo on his slide.
And Spencer's foot got bent back here a bit. Restrepo got whacked in the leg. Great ball by Junior Flemings to the back post. The two guys just trying to make an effort and win it. And that's interesting for the goalkeeper because Spencer's not wrong for going for it. Neither is Restrepo. But Restrepo comes foot first. And that's not necessarily the look you normally see out of a goalkeeper when the ball is being played across the box. And that's probably some nervousness for him going to ground, trying to come at the ball with his hands, doesn't want to get kicked. I don't blame him. He took a good one there. He's still down. Right on the outside of his left boot. You can see he looks to be in agonizing pain as Ben Spencer, the recipient of yellow card.
Spencer, who's fought through injuries this year, picks up the yellow card.
How about the look by Junior Flemings right now? He just walked over and said to him, why didn't you break in? And he's not wrong. Again, the big guy up top, Ben Spencer, on a different page, just not in the same connection whatsoever. Even though Junior Flemings is a substitute, he felt like he put that ball right where it was supposed to be, and he's right. Spencer should have been crashing his dive just to the near post instead of having to go to ground. That's got to be the third or fourth time tonight where it could have easily ended up in the back of the net. And unfortunately for Ben Spencer, not necessarily the night that he wanted out of his first start for Phoenix Rising. Even his midfielder Jason Johnson telling him, bend that run. You've already done the hard work on the backside, now bring it to the near post and finish it off.
Larry Saramutin came on at the stop here. And the game hitting the pause button. And all eyes on Restrepo, who spent 3 years at South Florida, then transferred to Virginia, won the College Cup and the College Cup MVP. Signed in Colorado. He's bounced around the championship through Tampa Bay, Charlotte, San Antonio, won goalkeeper of the year there. But a guy who has significant experience with the U.S. Youth National Program, having been born in Venezuela and growing up in Colombia. Tierpak will come out, another local. And Saramutin, who spent time with the Russian youth national team, grew up in New Jersey, will check in. And Restrepo's made 4 or 5 enormous plays in this game. Will try and stick in this.
That's why he is the former goalkeeper of the year. And that's just going to be a couple welts on that outside calf. I would say that's why you wear shin guards, but those things don't matter anymore.
It didn't make nearly enough of a difference there, did it?
They're too tiny. I mean, at one point in time in my career, Mike, I'll give you an idea. This actually started in college for me. I walked into preseason training for college. And the gentleman who not only hosted me on my recruiting trip, he was also one of my friends, a couple years older. I left the training room without my shin guards, made my way all the way to the field, walks me into the bathroom at the field house, grabbed some paper towels, rolled them up. Those are my shin guards for the rest of my collegiate career. I would just roll them up and put them in. For some reason, I felt like I'd have been okay.
That's because you did the damage.
Yes, right.
What opposing attackers would have liked is if you had put pillows on your feet instead of those cleats. Cochran took that all the way to the byline.
I actually knew a guy who played up top who would wear his shin guards on his calves. Just didn't care. I mean, he was big kid. Name was Cleveland Brown, South Florida area. Actually spent some time in the Newcastle Academy and would just always turn and run at people and said, yeah, I'm always getting kicked from behind. Why not put it where it counts?
Yeah.
Guess it kind of makes sense.
It does. Steered away from Flemings. Well, no Kleber tonight. Saragossa, a couple key players for this Austin side in the early going, their expansion season. Hasn't mattered. That's a foul for Asante and a yellow card to him. These are really starting to fly at this point. That's the 4th yellow card issued to a Phoenix player.
Only one on the home squad. Solomon Asante lost a bit in the middle of the field. Talked about that switch. Would he be able to make the progression? Substitute Sarah Mutin getting involved, and he just gets stuck up, has a little go. Tries to pull out of it, to be honest, but still catches him.
Number 20, Solomon Asante.
Asante might be the funniest member of Phoenix Rising. You and I got a chance to talk with him last year at USL Cup in Louisville. Decent hold-up play. Bounce back toward Baez. Cycled out wide. Service for Lima, headed away. Second ball crossed in. Lima chests it down. And Blackman valiantly steps in front of it. 15 minutes to go, and Austin looks like the more dangerous side, up a goal still.
The only one in this 11 outside of the goalkeeper who didn't get involved in the first half going forward. Said that needed to change. Wow, has he made his mark here in the second half. Hold up play, good distribution down into the channels for his wingers. And now he tries to go it alone. Well done by Andre Lima.
Lima's 14th career club. Crossed by Guadarrama. Run as far as Malice. Taken by Spencer. And Asante not laughing about this. Guadarrama strides forward. McFarland lofting. No clearance, and a little bit lucky that Promise Isaac got him. Blackman back to his feet. Phoenix will play. Be sure to tune in Wednesday, April 30th, ESPN USL Championship Game of the Week on ESPN3 goes to Louisville, Kentucky, as expansion side Memphis 901 FC visits the twice defending USL Cup champions. It's the week's best match on the Game of the Week, April 30th, 7 Eastern on ESPN3. Slips through the legs of Di Velarde. In the opening weeks of the season, Marcelo Serrano publicly saying the fitness just not yet there yet for this team, that they're getting better. They were really suffering against Reno in that altitude. We talked about whether that energy would continue throughout the end of the match. They're going to need it here late as the fans try and give them an additional surge. Good recovery by Farrell.
Well, you've got it in the shot. Look at how flat they are defensively. Everybody behind the ball.
That falls kindly for Spencer for a moment.
Just one straight line across the back, and it is so impressive when they do get behind it. All hands on deck, everybody in the right spot, and everybody's got coverage as well. It makes it very difficult to break down.
Velarde, Lubin backing in. Javi Baez. Once involved in a transfer with Omar Bravo over at Cruz Azul. Bravo, once upon a time, was the key signing of a rebranded Phoenix Rising. Guadarrama plays it through. Lima got hooked just a little bit by Farrell, but the flag is up. It's offside. Not sure that was enough to call a penalty. It's academic.
Definitely not enough to call a penalty, and I would have loved to have seen that flag stay down and see what the referee would have done. Because if he doesn't call a penalty, you're insinuating simulation. So would he have gone to his book like he did against Junior Flemings? Instead, offside, another chance for Rick Chance to make a change. This time he brings on Joey Calistri. And And he is going to go with 3 at the back, bringing off A.J. Cochran. Joey Farrell will tuck in, sit in the middle. Tristan Blackman on the right. This is a last-ditch effort with about 12 to go for the traveling squad to try and get back in this.
And if they do score soon, they're stuck with what they got. They're out of subs. Johnson. This will be a corner. Devin, you think about it, 3 center backs. Given the personnel, this might actually kind of work for Phoenix better than the alternative.
What if you open up a can of worms of greatness here? But don't be surprised if Jason Johnson starts playing a higher line up top and Kalishi goes out on the left.
Header is saved away from the line. Restrepo got a piece. Ricochets away from Farrell. Batista driving that header nearly into the upper corner.
That's Javi Baez right on the line. This is why you put someone on the near post. Batista gets a header. Thank you, Javi Baez. That is in the back of the net if he is not on the touchline. Well done by their midfielder. And then once again, Restrepo just stepping in to do a little bit of cleanup.
Your attention, please. Substitution Austin Ball.
Clayton Adams.
Number 22, Clayton Adams.
Makes his way in. Played for Georgia Revolution most recently with Promise Isaac. Went to an open tryout in Iowa. There were 180 applicants. Clayton Adams is the personification of the dividend. That's going to be a foul for Solomon Asante, and Solo's probably on one last warning here. Sarah Mooten's saying you should show him yellow for that any other time. That would be his second. That'd be 2 very soft yellows.
I was going to say, that'd be difficult to send him off for that. Solo, again, he talked about it, just he moves into that 10 position and starts to become lost. I mean, here's a guy who, sitting out on the wing, ball out in front of him, ball in space, always making an impact on the game. He goes into the number 10 spot, disappears a bit. Now you've gone into a 3-back system with Joey Farrell anchoring everything. 9 minutes to go. Callum Malice has other ideas.
Malice, that took a significant ricochet, came to Lubin. Boy, what a moment this could be for Austin. Could they tattoo the first loss on Phoenix in 2019? And certainly be staking their claim as having arrived. New Mexico's been the real story of the expansion teams. Austin, if they win tonight, with just 5 games played, he's sitting on a solid 7 points. Lofted over the back line. Batista got just enough of that and did a terrific job to keep Adams from latching on.
Lamar Batista is someone who has been exposed with his pace tonight, but technical ability second to none on that outside left pitch.
Flemings, that's not good enough. And Devin, this game is way too stretched if you're Austin.
I told you in the second half, you would see it start to open up and become very wide, and that's what's happening. Fortunately enough for Phoenix on the back line, they have the guys like Batista who can bring the ball down. A lot of times you'd see that go back to Zach Lubin, restart. That wasn't the case. They go the other way. And if you're Austin Bolt, find a way to start slowing the game down a bit. 8 minutes to go. You've shown that you can put yourself out in front. Now can you defend the lead? You're able to sit back against San Antonio FC, but Phoenix Rising is an animal of a different breed.
The animals are actually in Lot B.
I got that. Appreciate you. Saw what I did there.
Slide by Farrell. Did get the ball. It takes a carom to the Phoenix half. Las Vegas Lights, by the way, did get into the act, tweeting that they detest Phoenix Rising. That they look forward to having them at, well, here's Flemings. More on that in a moment. Flemings, that's too heavy a touch. He just had a rip at that. He'll never know. Well, we may have an early answer to this of who's up and who's down. Where does your club sit? Find out every Monday, the official USL Championship Power Rankings, only on USLChampionship.com. Right now, it's going to be Austin flying, Phoenix sinking.
Austin in the top 10? Nah, that's not even a hot take. That's not even a cool take. Brilliant performance, but again, have to see this one out, and doesn't exactly atone for what went on in the first 4 matches. Only a few points coming out of it. Phoenix Rising can say the same thing. Rick Schatz has got to be frustrated. Marcelo Serrano, pleased.
Well, change coming for Austin. This is the last one. Jorge Trincoso. Andre Lima, that was a really good second half for him. Changed the game entirely.
Everything they needed out of him. And going in, I said, look, you've all done well. Where's the point man up top? You have no Kleber. Who's it going to be? Kleber gone, suspended after that gruesome tackle on Mitchell Tainter in the Sacramento Republic game. Lucky he didn't get sent off, to be fair, but well done by the disciplinary committee to take a look and have him sit down. But goes to show you that Andre Lima had no problem not only playing alongside their number 9, but stepping up, being the focal point, especially in the second half.
Sprayed across the field, Flemings. Asante. Solo knocking it back. Flemings has to take a negative touch. Crossing the field. Played toward Johnson by Calistri. Musa keeps it in front of him, and now Farrell. Farrell dancing through. Won't go from there. Contact edge of the area. Well, it's late, but the whistle did come. I think Calistri was right to question why that didn't come a little bit sooner. It is outside the penalty area. Free kick coming.
Surprised McFarland doesn't go into the book on this challenge, as Calistri had pulled a nice little step over, get an opportunity to get in and play one across. Little one-on-one, roll it through. That's a card. Gotta brandish the yellow there.
Considering the other yellows that have been given out in the game, one would imagine. No?
Be consistent. You've done stuff for much less than that, and to be fair, John Freeman has handled this match decently. Not the best, but not bad. He's got a nice flow in the second half. Remember, the opening 10 minutes, very start and stop.
Well, Asante and Vega are behind the ball. I would imagine the only way Vega's going to touch this is if they go short. Calistri's available.
If I'm him, I'm Vega. I peel off, put this in front of him, and let him have a go.
It's Asante curling, punched away, Restrepo. Nodded backwards, Vega. Asante slipping through over the crossbar. Restrepo's put it all on the line tonight. And he may find himself on Team of the Week when it's done.
For a man who never uses his left foot, Solomon Asante has had a few chances here in the second half. One in the first, it'll make 3 total. Not the best of free kicks, to be honest. It's well done by the goalkeeper to punch it away, but all he has to do is hold his ground, wait for it to come to him. Tough angle for the Ghanaian to really challenge Diego Restrepo. Either way, goalkeeper makes another decent save. Previously to keep his team in it, this time to hold that lead. As precious seconds continue to tick off, and they look for their second home victory of the season.
And this was a Phoenix team that won 10 games on the road last year, including at Orange County in the Western Conference Final. Austin has had their number so far. And offset pieces, Phoenix has been dynamic to goal. Haven't solved Diego Restrepo yet. Asante collects himself, lost the handle. One more goal could be the end of this. Sarah Mouton. There's going to be a ton of stoppage time due to that injury earlier. Diego Restrepo, one could imagine 5 minutes plus. Slipped ahead for Vega. Musa. Asante. Flemings tried to hold his run. He did. Crossing for Spencer. And the frustration bubbling over a little bit for Phoenix. And this has not been a banner night for Spencer.
Everyone in this stadium knew where that ball was going to go. You saw the buildup. And to be fair, it's the first time you've seen some nice interplay from James Musa in the middle. Not necessarily known for that. Plays the 6 and likes to get into some gruesome tackles, initially start distribution, but when it makes its way back around, Ben Spencer has to start to crash that near post, get out in front of the center back, and just get a redirect. Instead, another ball just goes harmless right across the 6.
Off of Musa. Baez plays it forward. Could this be the moment for Austin off the base of the post? Clayton Adams was that close.
Long way from Georgia or his hometown of Slidell, Louisiana, but more than willing to be involved in Texas. Oh, Lubin, he gets beat too. That is almost an amazing finisher by Clayton Adams.
Flemings, that'll bounce back. DiValardi will put it out for a throw. Will Austin rue that they haven't put this game away? They've had chances in this second half. Ball flicked backwards, header, popped over the top by Restrepo. Johnson couldn't nod it by. The crowd loves what Diego Restrepo's brought to the table tonight. He's been outstanding.
Nice little flick by Joey Farrell and Jason Johnson trying to pick out the far post. A bit of theatrics by Diego Restrepo. Could have caught this, pushed it up over the bar. Don't want to continue to give Phoenix Rising chances.
5 minutes added time. Hold on to your buns. It's going to be a busy 5 minutes. That's a foul. Musa going into it with Clayton Adams. Phoenix plays quick. Flemings, couple goals, couple assists this year. Jamaican on the move. Followed by Malice. It's a throw deep in the Austin end. Couldn't unleash Guadarrama. If they did, he would have taken plenty of time off the clock. What a crowning early season achievement this could be for Austin. Flemings. Flemings wants to go! Got through the legs of Taylor and nearly put that into his own net. As a result, corner coming.
Diego Restrepo thinks this is headed to the near post. He guesses right. The deflection off the center back. Wow. That comes off Jermaine Taylor, almost puts it in the back of his own net.
Corner bounces away. Spencer will reverse. Spencer's first start in a Phoenix uniform. All the way back to Lubin.
That's one of those times where Rick Shantz would have liked to have seen his goalkeeper put the effort into what they've been working so hard on, playing out of the back. Blackman doesn't necessarily play the greatest ball to Lubin, but he says, hold it, I got you, steps off to the right. Just play one outside and continue to maintain possession going the other direction. You just give it right back to Austin.
Well, for Adams is cut out by Blackman. Phoenix pushing all their chips to the middle of the table over the course of this second half. A heavily rotated lineup. Over a half dozen changes in their game on the weekend. That got out. Throw Austin. Austin's about to be out of the basement in the Western Conference.
What a statement victory, huh?
Still, they can hold on.
Yeah, 2+ to go on in extra time here, but stoppage time, excuse me. I'll get ridiculed for that one.
Flemings. Well recovered. Guadarrama, goal already. Springing Adams off to the corner. Boy, that's a mess.
His feet get caught up underneath him and took a dive, unfortunately. Some loose grass. Here's Zach Lubin, bring this down, start playing right away.
Puts it on the ground. Tees it up for Johnson. Johnson smoothly by Baez. Reverses course. Chance to serve by Calistri. Guadarrama. Asante is the only player back.
Well, Phoenix has resorted to long ball, and you can understand that. And Solomon Asante, not necessarily the biggest of stature, is he? Gives you the ability to play out the back a bit next to Tristan Blackman. It's also been back and forth, and he's come back to help out defensively. Got a run 60 yards long 30 seconds before, and ended up to Clayton Adams, and just never really made his way back up top.
Plenty direct here. This will be a throw deep in the Austin half. Well, the Bold can feel it right now. An experienced team and plenty of talent that have played at very high levels over the years. If they find Adams, this could be the dagger. Adams, is this it for Austin? Off the base of the post. It may not matter. How in the world? Baez, fans whipped into a fury. They want to see another goal here. Looks like time has run out on Phoenix. What a statement by Austin Bold. They knock off the reigning Western Conference champions. 2 home games, 2 home wins at Bold Stadium.
Everything that went on in the opening 4 matches was thrown out the window for Marcelo Serrano and his boys. What a great job. Just continuing to push the effort and take down such a talented Phoenix Rising squad.
Highlights and stats coming up after this.
To purchase tickets, please visit austinboldfc.com or call 512-872-8700. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's man of the match for your Austin Bold, number 33, Sonny Guadarrama. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the inclement weather headed our way, we will not be having an autograph session tonight. Thank you for joining us against the Phoenix Rising tonight, and please drive home safe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, we'll see you Sunday. And as always, y'all ball.
I had to come get in the camera.
They're calling Sonny Guadarrama the player of the match, and his goal was fantastic, but Diego Restrepo seemingly won this game on his own. Austin won, Phoenix 0 in the USL Championship game of the week. We'll FaceTime for Sonny Guadarrama. Let's take a look at highlights and stats, Devin. And we begin with Phoenix off the set piece, challenging Restrepo.
The Austin Bold PA announcer has given the man of the match to Sonny Guadarrama. Disagree. It's that man right there, Diego Restrepo. Were it not for his efforts tonight, Phoenix wouldn't have run away with it. but off set pieces and a few chances across the middle, they definitely would have hit the back of the net. That wasn't the case. Diego Restrepo thwarted off the likes of Jason Johnson, Solomon Asante from distance, Ben Spencer a few times on the doorstep. But Austin Bold were not to be denied as they just continued to apply pressure. Tierpak got involved. Nice little pickup. Pushed him just inside the 18 and a strike to the far post. Thought it would have been 1-0. Lubin did not have it covered. He would have been beaten.
Meanwhile, Austin, when Phoenix built and did not get the ball through that second line of pressure, they paid dearly for it.
If they can get their fitness up, Austin, they can do this more often. And tonight, you were fine because defensively, you're very sound. Regardless, Sonny Guadarrama just waits. There's no challenge from the center back. Joey Farrell has to hold his run from the overlapping run on the left. He has to wait until he can step in. Does not get the help from A.J. Cochran. Guadarrama makes them pay. They started to gain some momentum and get back in. A few chances. Loved the stretch play on the right from Isaac Promise. Good hold-up play from Andre Lima. He was fantastic in the second half. Lamar Batista should have been the equalizer. That's your holding midfielder and the likes of Javi Baez standing on the line. Said it, that's exactly what you put them there for. That was a game saver for sure.
And then chances to put this one away. Clayton Adams met both posts here tonight.
What a story he is. The $50 tryout amongst hundreds of players and has made his way to this Austin Bold franchise. Used in a substitution role. Missed that one off the post. This had to have been the dagger and just can't finish it off. They did a good job though. Baez regained his collectiveness, got down into the corner. They killed the game off. Phenomenal victory for the home squad. What a spectacular 3 points.
52nd minute goal from Sonny Guadarrama is the difference. In total, Phoenix outshoots, outpossesses, out physicality, so says the yellow cards, and they don't come away with a win. At times, Devin felt a little lackadaisical.
You wonder what could have been with Adam John up top tonight. This could have been a breakout game for him. Too many chances for Ben Spencer that he couldn't get, and there was times in space, there was times on the counter, there was times where he was just sitting on the 6. You have to wonder what's going through his mind. He's got to find a way to get some confidence in himself because Adam John's not lacking any. The woodwork just seems to always get in the way.
And Dev, you and I saw Solo after the game laying on the ground, Asante, and he was devastated post-game. Not good enough, and Phoenix will fall for the first time this year. We've talked a bit about all the animals that were involved in tonight's game. Well, Dolly and Dottie do want to come to Bold Stadium, but they're going to have to wait till September 22nd. Lights FC getting involved in the game of the week action.
There was some serious shade going on social media, more specifically Twitter. Las Vegas Lights had some fun things to say directly to Phoenix Rising through the likes of Austin Bold, but always nice to see the clubs interacting, and it just goes to show you that the growth of this game is not just on the field.
They don't like each other. Enough said. Well, that's the end of this one. As we'll see you next on the 30th of April for the game of the week. John Hackworth, Louisville City FC, taking on Memphis 901 FC. For Devin Kerr, producer Abel Ponte, director Gage Tillotson, Jonathan Tellicher, and our entire USL on ESPN crew, Mike Watts, saying thanks for watching. Austin has arrived. Their second home win is their early season crowning achievement. Austin 1, Phoenix 0. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.